Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody, and our special edition of four-wheel drive segment. I'm your host, Coach Tripp. We got Billy Pendock to my left. Hey, Billy.
What's up, Paulie?
Doing great, man. There's Blaze Winter, man, 12-year NFL vet. These guys are part of, I guess you guys are the rear wheels of four-wheel drive, Syracuse defensive lineman in the 1980s. We got a great show for you today, brought to you by Hill Kelly Dodge. Folks, here on Coach's Corner, we try to inspire and educate the mind to think, the heart to feel, and the body to act. All right, so we're going to talk about player roles. What kind of roles do players need? How do coaches put them in? What's the importance of having players on a team, having their roles? How many starters are role players? And the question you might ask, does everyone have a role on the team? Do they understand their role? You know, these are just some of the questions, folks, that we're going to try to answer today on Four-Wheel Drive. Every sport has role players, whether it's volleyball, basketball, baseball, hockey, or football. All team sports have role players. And it's the coach's job. His number one job is to fit the kid's talent to a certain role or role. One player may have 3 or 4 roles on a team. Coach needs to evaluate each player's well and fit his talents to a specific job or task. A coach should not put a player in a position to do a task that he's not suited for. His athletic or mental capabilities can't handle it. The second job the coach has to do is get that player to accept that role and that responsibility on the team. A player should never be forced into a coach's system. The system should be adapted to fit the player's skills and roles. Let's take football, for example. If you're a quarterback with great passing skills, you don't want to run the option. If you have to evaluate every player at every position. For example, let's continue with football. And these are the things that we talk about coaches do in staff meetings. Offensive lineman. Is he a better pass or run blocker? Can he snap the ball? If he can, let's put him at center. Is he a better guard or tackle? Can he pull on a sweep play? Those are some of the offensive line coaches ask themselves. Wide receiver, is he a possession receiver? Does he have the speed to go deep? Is he a great blocker? Those are some of the questions for wide receiver. As a defensive back for 20 years, and I coached it for 20 years, these are the questions that I ask myself. Is he quick? Is he a great tackler? Is he smart? Is he tough? Is he a great teammate? How is his ball skills? Can he go up and high point the ball with a certain talent for that? And can he play on special teams? Some players can mentally and or physically handle multiple roles. Others don't have the capability to do more than one role. So as a coach, you have to decipher which ones can or can't. Once you determine the answers to these questions, you then put a guy in a position to play that role for the team. You then explain the role to him in clear understanding of what he's supposed to do. And then he has to accept that role. Okay? I had some examples of hockey and basketball we might get to later, but let's talk about in order to get these players to accept their roles, I tell them at practice and almost every week, every calling is great when greatly pursued. Everyone has a task, a job, a role to fill on this team. If every piece of the puzzle comes together, if we're all in, we'll be successful. You must explain to each player what their roles are, what you expect of them, and to hold them accountable to the team. I recall what the great Alabama quarterback Bart Starr remembers what his Green Bay Packer coach Vince Lombardi said concerning roles. Quote, Lombardi said, quote, he explained that some players on this team are going to be all-stars and popular, and some are going to be obscure. But everyone was equally important. For us to succeed, we have to place our personal goals behind those of the team. We have to pick each other up, push each other higher level, unquote. So there are 2 important tasks for a head coach. Put the players in the right positions and roles, get them to accept it, embrace their role. If you can do both these things, you're headed in the right direction. Now it's time for Bible Verse of the Week, brought to you by the Seiler Agency. This word of God comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might, unquote. Finally, I got a poem because I love to write poems. Here's a poll that same thing. If a task is once begun, never leave till it's done. Be the labor or small, do it well or not at all. Folks, what do you guys think about role play? I know you guys, you're 4 guys on that 4-wheel drive. You all had distinct roles. Billy, what was your role on your team? And maybe pick Blaze, and I'll have Blaze pick him and Timmy's.
Let me start by saying, we had to have four guys that were very unselfish, and if you don't have guys that are going to sacrifice for the other 3, then you're kind of stuck in a position there. So you really need that mentality of knowing what you're doing is going to benefit the guy next to you or the guy behind you. So in my personal situation, I played a lot of 1-tech, which for 1-0, I was inside most of the time, playing either head up on the center, off the shade of the center, in the interior more or less. And my job, probably 85-90% of the time, was occupying 2 players. Now, if I didn't do that 85 to 90% of the time, we had a breakdown for the guys behind us. So it was important that I would occupy 2. And Blaze can expand on this because he played next to me. We would slide maybe left, right. It was more or less within a 3-gap area. But both of us were most of the time responsible, 100% of the time, to occupy 4 with 2 or 3 with 2. It was never really a one-on-one situation, and our defense was based on that principle. And the point of attack was the closest to the football. And if you didn't do our job up front, that meant the linebackers behind us were going to get blocked. And that meant there was a problem behind them and so forth.
Right.
The old stone rolling downhill and turned into a boulder. And that was the whole base. And I'll tell you, Paulie, and I've said this before, and Blaze will probably remember, I'd say 75-85% of the time we played a base defense. And hats off to our defensive front linebackers that we could do that, because that is not seen in today's game. Everything is about blitzing, everything is about stunts up front. We didn't really do that because we spent a lot of time on practice working on fundamentals and controlling those 5 or 6 with 4. And that was the role that I kind of had
as a group. There's a group role too. Your group has a role. Don't get past it. Don't make them go sideways. The linebacker's role is to get to the ball. DBs have to cover and then make the tackle if it ever does break through.
Right.
So you have each individual role, but also there's a group role, a position role on the team. Blaze, talk about your role and Timmy's role.
Well, my role was to myself, and what I mean by that is simply I was one who was always worried about tomorrow and having a place, and eventually that would turn into a role on that defense. That I was going to press, I was going to vocalize, I was going to challenge the people around me. I was going to speak out loud to myself because I could hear my voice. And people might laugh. What are you talking about? Everybody indirectly watch one another. Let's understand something. 4-wheel drive was a great defensive line, but we were so competitive with one another, right, Billy? We were so competitive with one another. It wasn't pure love. It was a love-hate. It was a challenge being made each and every play that I'm better than you, man. I should be the one in that ultimate position. And, for me, it was, ambition, desire, out to prove something. I was the guy that had no offer. Billy had 100. Jamie had a lot. Tim had a whole bunch. I mean, these were all-American type players, and I was just simply looking for a way to stay there. So I was willing to do anything possible, and I eventually got to a point where I did not give a shit what other people thought. I was going to prepare. I was going to play hard. And what I found is the other three would follow me. The whole team found a way to say, we like plays. I think players love other players genuinely. I think players hate artificial. I've been around high schools where somebody says, come on, play harder. And nobody believes in that kid. Why? He doesn't play hard himself. I was the guy, whatever I said is what I did. Eventually, the four-wheel drive admired that. But I was out to be as good as Billy was. I was out to be as good as Tim was. I was out to get the same recognition as Jamie was getting. And there was a certain point where you decide to be unselfish, or you decide to be happy for your brother. I think we were really good at being reminded by George O'Leary to be happy for your brother.
Yes.
And eventually when we laid down Flutie or Oliver Luck or many others over the course of the season, those quarterbacks, whoever made the play on that quarterback, we made it a point to wait for the other three and then do a high five over their body.
Oh, wow.
And George O'Leary didn't necessarily like celebration to that point. But again, the way
rally together,
make sure you back it up. So there's a lot there, but from my standpoint, being a player and a coach, we knew Billy was holding the fort. We knew that the two edge guys, Jamie and Tim, were going to get the one-on-ones. And if I was fortunate enough to create pressure in the quarterback's face, so be it. And we eventually got to a point where we all got a little bit of the piece of the pie, right, Billy? We all got a little bit of the moment of success laying on top of a quarterback, and we were happy with one another. We really were. And then in practice, we would start all over and say, hey, keep Jamie away from Tim because they don't like each other. Keep Blaze away from Jamie because they're at each other. Keep Billy away from Tim because they're a little bit uptight. But it was constantly competitive fire.
The other thing, Paulie, you got to understand too, and this is up till our senior year, we had pressure every single practice and every single game. There was no relaxing by underneath a guy like Coach George O'Leary.
No.
He was your position coach. He was not a head coach, folks. George O'Leary was a position coach when he left Liverpool High School in 1980. He coached, for y'all out there just joining the show, Billy and I played high school ball together. Of course, Blaze and Billy played on the four-wheel drive. But Timmy Green was our high school teammate as well. And we all played for George, but you guys got him as most people. Like I coached a couple guys at Catholic that played for George at UCF. But they didn't. They were not. He was not their position coach. George was y'all's position coach, which makes it even more, demanding.
And to my point, and Blaze will support this. I mean, we were seniors, and we started playing as freshmen, and we were, all East, all American, whatever you want to throw out there. It didn't matter to Coach O'Leary. You can lose your spot if you didn't do your role, okay? Right. This was your role. If you didn't do that, guess what? He's going to move you to offensive line. He's going to move you out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is not my freshman, sophomore year. This went on through our whole 4 years. You know, pressure. And I'll tell you, Blaze, I remember, and Blaze is the one, we talk after the games. I go to his apartment, whatever, and he's a nervous wreck, and I said, Blaze, you had a hell of a game. I go, I remember, and we're all looking up in the press box.
Yeah.
The coach is up there looking, and I'm going, I'm dreading the film session come Monday morning because this is going to be living hell. I missed. Right. I kind of, I slipped. I didn't split that double team.
Now, with that being said, Billy, understand. All the listeners have to understand that this is very difficult to live with. This is very difficult to be around each and every day for 4 years. This is really difficult, and it's not as prevalent today because of the level of difficulty. And I'm not talking physical, I'm talking about psychological.
Right.
It was a constant test, a constant being put in a fire. And if you don't have the right attitude coming in, we just happen to be a perfect storm. We were a perfect storm of people that had a little bit of humor. Billy was a humorist. I needed laughter, and he was right near me.
Yeah.
He was telling me to look at some pretty girl in the middle of the game. You see her up there. And I'm like, Billy, man, we get ready to play. And Tim is, looking pretty, and Jamie is ready to go psycho on somebody. And I mean, people have to understand it's hard to find that unselfish chemistry where Billy's told, hey, man, you're a nose guard. Tough shit. Handle it. Blaze, you're this guy. Handle it. Well, I want to be Tim Green. Sorry, buddy, you're not. And you got to handle that. And in the culture of today with these prima donnas coming out, and I live in Florida, and they're everywhere. Oh, I deserve to be the man. I want to be first round choice. No, you're not, man. And if you do, all right, you're going to last even a year. And what about the ones that go to college like Alabama? You know what happens? They disappear.
Yeah.
They disappear. Yeah. What happened to you, man? You were killing people at Cocoa High School. What happened? Because it's more than just who you are. It's about who your brothers are and how you can bring the best out of them without losing your own identity.
Oh, good point. Good point, Blaze. That's awesome, man. You guys touched on so many points. I want to go back and talk about some of these. Number one, and I'll go quickly. Humor is important, man. Thank God for Billy. And when I got to Alabama, man, I was in another planet, man.
Hey, let me just say something. Let me say one thing. That man sitting up there on the screen is the foundation of why I survived, and then I moved on to play 11 years. And he might say, no, man, but that's how he is. He's a humble dude. Yeah. He's not walking around the earth saying, you know who I am?
Right.
Oh, he knows who he is.
Right.
And he knows he was one of the best that ever played in that position. And we were very fortunate. 83, 72, 98. We were lucky to have that man be the unselfish dude in the middle.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, flowers to Billy, man. Thanks for that. Humor is important. I was saying Preston Gothard got me through Alabama and all my trials, tribulations, hurdles, and obstacles I had to, and there was plenty. Humor really helped me get through it. Another point, 75 to 80% of the time, Billy, you mentioned you guys play base defense because of fundamentals. It is so sorely missing in today's game. It's sickening. Challenge. You guys challenged each other, and you had to sacrifice. See, that's what about defensive tackles that this country doesn't know about and the average fan doesn't know. That not only did you have to personally sacrifice, but you had to sacrifice for your team. Timmy and the defensive ends were getting all the pub, all the ink, all the press. And they were the ones that were getting recognized. But if it wasn't for you, O'Leary made sure, and I want to ask one of my questions I want to ask you is, how did O'Leary keep you guys from being jealous of the other guy? Number two, it's a game of wills. You challenged each other. You have something to prove. You have that chip on your shoulder. I did too, man. When I walked on at Alabama, believe me, I was way more suspect than prospect. So I had to have that competitive advantage. I had to actually deep down look in myself and ask me, what could I do and bring to the table and play a role on this Alabama team when I was a Yankee walk-on? It's competitive advantage. And you have to have genuine passion. You talked about that as well, Blaze. You have to be genuine. You can't fake it out there, okay? You fake it to make it doesn't work in sports, especially in football. As a player or as a coach, you can't fake it to make it, and you got to be happy for your teammates. Man, that was critical for me. Not only do if a guy intercepts a ball in practice, I'll be the first one to reach him when he turns around, because that's just the way it should be. You should celebrate those moments. They don't come around very often. Matter of fact, I tried to get like 2 picks a game for my team, and so you better celebrate it. Great points, guys. What do you think about those points?
Well, Paulie, I got to ask you one thing. You keep leaning forward.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Look at this. There's my Bama 23 jersey, Blaze, covering up his jersey.
Blaze, can you see that?
Look at that right there. There he is.
There
it is, baby.
There
it is. Bama 23 over SU. Hey, I know, man. I wish we would have played you guys back then, man.
There we go, man. We're sitting on this cast with you. And look what Billy is. This is exactly what he brought, along with the physical dynamic of being one of the strongest men on the earth. I mean, this is what he brought. He brought he was able to make a moment. Now we can all go back to work, and that is so important. It is so important. We can't all be hard asses. We can't all be happy-go-lucky. We can't all be psycho. We have to be able to blend it. O'Leary was a master to put Billy where he was, and Blaze where he was, Jamie and Tim switching sides and playing little mental games with them. It's a beautiful thing to watch. A great coach know how to use these things. And remember now, if you fast forward just for a moment and you look at the San Diego Chargers in 1992, coached by who, Billy? George O'Leary, the D-line. We had Bert Grossman on one side. We had Leslie O'Neal on the other.
Oh my
now that is Tim and what? That is Tim and Jamie to a T.
Yeah.
And then you had Sean Lee and Blaze Winter. Sean Lee, man, a lot like you, buddy. He was strong. He was quick. He was freaking powerful. And what did he do? He brought us together to have 51 of 54 sacks on the D-line. 51 in 1992.
Wow.
I mean, it's unheard of what he has done to put the right pieces in the right spots. Not just physically, you're a two-gap guy. It was more.
And Paulie, to Blaze's point, not only was he an expert football mind, mentally, he knew which switches to turn all the time, all the time.
All the time, man.
When you started getting comfortable for a second, man, you were called down to the office. You were the goddamn hallways pitch black. You didn't know if he was going to jump out of the room next to you or what was going to happen. We
gotta find a way to get George O'Leary on the show, man.
Oh, we had him on. As a matter of fact, I played the show last night, 79 reunion show last night on my podcast.
He always plays. He always don't remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah. He always got to get the last word in, Blaze. We're still intimidated by him. We still won't call him out.
That's a great point. You're right. Yeah. I remember that.
Hey, talk about Timmy and Jamie's role. I know, did they have different roles, and how did Timmy and Jamie handle it, and how did you guys react to all their sacks and stardom? You guys were doing the dirty work.
What side did you play on, Jamie? I think I was on Jamie's side. You were on Timmy's side.
Yeah, I think so most of the time. Yeah.
But I'll talk about Jamie. I roomed with him in the summer for 3 years. We obviously we were never the greatest students. We had to go to summer school every year, which I didn't agree with, but that's the way it worked. Back then, they didn't keep the teams. They didn't keep most of the guys back in the summer. Most of the guys went home, and we stayed and during summer went to summer school. But Jamie, as Blaze will say, and we talked about before, Jamie was a natural athlete. I think out of the four of us, he was probably the most athletic. He was the guy, Paulie, when he was unguarded, if they had a 5 front and they had no tight end, he'd be the guy on 2 feet. Us three would be in a 3-point, 4-point stance.
Right.
Jamie could play up or down. So Jamie's role was to play that position. If he was unmanned, to play that rush on, to play that outside backer, he could play both. And that's why, I'd even see Jamie. I would even put him dropping off into playing a free safety role, even an outside.
He's so versatile. Yeah.
He was that good. He was probably Blaze? Probably 250, 255, 260, right around that range.
And hard body. A hard body wrist.
But he ran, he was a 4'7", 4'8" guy, but he could play. Back then, 4'7", 4'8" is a good time. Nowadays, it's kind of nuts, but
it sounds like Billy. It sounds like he was versatile. He was the athlete. He could pick up a tennis racket and play.
We were golfing every summer. We were either golfing, playing whatever, and we'd play every sport, but he's the guy that, he'd be sitting on the sideline. He's putting a chew of Red Man in his mouth, throwing his mouthpiece out. He's going out on the field, no mouthpiece, Red Man, skull in his mouth. He's talking to me in the huddle on the sideline about, well, we're gonna go. Let's go fishing after the game. Let's go and see if we can do this and that.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a whole different level, man. That's poise under pressure when you can do that. When you can, hey, that's turning a pressure situation into a fun challenge. Let me tell you, Snake Stabler was one of the best at that, but so did Tom Brady. Both Stabler and Brady during Super Bowls looked at their head coaches and their teammates and said, hey, there's Tom Candy. Hey, these guys are getting their money's worth in the stands. That's a different person to be able to do that and see the perspective. All right, talk about Timmy's role, which is probably many.
First of all, you have to understand when I came into the meeting room because of Billy O'Leary, Jamie. It was like they wanted me to try that shit. They wanted me to go on that stuff. Oh my God! And O'Leary had.
Oh my
God! It was. Oh man, it's just different dudes, man. I love them. I love them to death, all of them. And Tim was what is he written so far? 55 books. I mean, the man is an intellectual marvel. He's a genius, and he had that sort of way about him as a student athlete. I don't know. I don't know how Billy was, or I know I wasn't necessarily a complete student athlete. I was an athlete that had to be a student.
Right.
I was the other way around. But I think he embraced, hey, I'm a student athlete. I'm the head of the honor society. I'm a this, I'm a that. I mean, he walked a different line at times than Billy I or Jamie.
Right.
A lot of us were known for athleticism. So, I mean, he intellectual. He's a genius.
Yeah, he was
a genius. Period.
He was a genius. He was a Phi Beta Cap. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He was on Fox color commentating on the NFL Network.
And the way he's handling ALS, he's a genius.
Yeah, just because he's ALS. Yeah, he's still got his mind. His mind still is sharp.
That's why he's still with us.
Just like all our buddies. Yep. Absolutely. Wow. Well, yeah, poise, versatility, all those things, man. All right, what a great show, man. We talked about role players and how you accept your roles and the different roles of the four-wheel drive. Everybody has a role. Sometimes it's multiple roles, and if you're versatile, then you get multiple roles. I mean, O'Leary had me punting, returning punts, offense, defense. He had me doing everything that I could. I never came off the field just because God blessed me with athletic ability. But yeah, all right, man. Well, good. Hey, great show, guys.
Good talking to you, Paulie.
Four-wheel drive.
Appreciate you guys.
Good talking to you, Blazy.
Oh, there's the Babbitt jersey covering up Philly.
Bam. Love you.
Fuck that goddamn Alabama shit out.
Roll Tide, guys. See ya.
See you later, man.
Oh, I could just remove him from the studio, man. It's such a beautiful thing to be the host. Thanks for watching Four-Wheel Drive, another edition. Stay tuned for these great messages. If you like the show, you like the podcast, please like and share, subscribe. It's free, and share the show. Have a great sports week. We'll talk to you soon. So long, everybody.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
75 years of service in high-tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High-tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than the simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
Drive a little to save a lot on 170 Buicks and GMCs at Step 1 Buick GMC. Get savings up to $4,000 on new Buick Encores, $9,450 on new Buick Envisions, $7,000 on new GMC Yukon XLs, or up to $15,345 off on new Sierras. Only at Step 1 Buick GMC, Pensacola. Plus tax, tag, title, license, dealer processing fee expires 7/31/24 on select new 24 in-stock models. Discount off MSRP includes all incentives.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.